Only the ladder is real. The climb is all there is.
The wheel, crushing those on the ground.
Ever find yourself scrolling endlessly, searching for a world to get lost in? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Cinematic Spotlight. Today, we're counting down the top 10 fantasy series you need to watch right now. From epic kingdoms to small towns hiding monstrous secrets, we're breaking down the shows that define a genre. These are the worlds worth getting lost in. So, whether you're a hardened fantasy veteran or just looking for your next great escape, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button. Let's get into the list. 10. The Wheel of Time. Coming in at number 10 is The Wheel of Time. In a world where magic exists, but only women can safely wield it, a powerful organization of sorceresses called the Aes Sedai are searching for one individual. They believe this person, the reincarnation of an ancient champion known as the Dragon Reborn, is the only one who can save the world, or completely destroy it. The story kicks off in a small, isolated mountain village where 5 young friends think they're just preparing for a quiet festival. But when a terrifying, ancient evil attacks their home, they're suddenly ripped from everything they know by a mysterious Aes Sedai named Moiraine. She believes one of them just won is the Dragon Reborn, but she doesn't know which one. What follows is a massive, globe-trotting adventure where you'll get lost in the intricate politics of royal courts, the brutal aesthetics of the Viking-inspired Siege invaders, and the deep lore of a world perpetually on the brink of disaster. The genius of the show is that mystery at its heart. Is it the strong-willed Egwene? The noble parent? The reluctant Rand? You'll be guessing for a while. 9. Sandman. Alright, shifting gears entirely for number 9 is the Sandman. Imagine the personification of dream, the literal lord of all dreams and nightmares, isn't some abstract idea. He's a brooding, powerful, and tragically flawed being named Morpheus. And the series begins with him being captured by a mortal wizard and held prisoner for over a century. When he finally breaks free, his kingdom is in ruins, his powers are weakened, and his most dangerous creations, his own nightmares, are running loose in our world. The entire series follows him on this stunningly creative quest to rebuild his realm, the Dreaming. But here's what makes it so special. Every episode is like a new short story. You'll meet his dysfunctional family, the Endless, his sister Death, who is surprisingly the most compassionate being in the universe, or the delightfully despicable Desire. The show isn't afraid to break format, with episodes that are essentially full-blown horror movies, or one that's just a heartbreaking conversation in a diner at the end of time. 8. Shadow and Bone. For number 8, Shadow and Bone. A nation ripped in two by a swath of pure darkness called the Shadow Fold, filled with monstrous, winged creatures that feast on the living. The only hope is a seemingly ordinary soldier named Alina Starkov, who discovers she has a miraculous one-of-a-kind power. She can summon light. She's thrust into a world of magical elites called the Grisha, who wear fancy colorful robes and command elements like fire and wind. And she catches the eye of their legendary, brooding leader, General Kerrigan, who may not be exactly what he seems. But here's the brilliant part. Woven into her story is the tale of 3 criminals from the rival city of Ketterdam, a sharpshooter, a runaway, and a mastermind known as the Bastard of the Barrel, Kaz Brekker. Their paths collide in the most thrilling ways. You get the high-stakes drama of Alina learning to control her power and navigate a dangerous court, plus the clever, banter-filled schemes of this iconic gang trying to pull off an impossible heist. 7. House of the Dragon. For number 7, House of the Dragon. Set nearly 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, this show answers a burning question. What were the Targaryens like when they were at the absolute peak of their power, with dozens of dragons at their command? The answer, just as brilliant, ruthless, and tragically self-destructive as you'd imagine. The story is a masterclass in political intrigue. It begins with a king's simple desire to name his daughter, Rhaenyra, as his heir. But this single act fractures the entire realm, pitting former best friends, Rhaenyra and the king's new wife, Alicent Hightower, against each other in a cold war that slowly, inexorably, heats up over decades. 6. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. For number 6, The Lord of the Rings. Set thousands of years before Frodo ever set foot out of the Shire, this show answers the legendary questions only ever hinted at in the books and films. How did Sauron rise to power? How were the Rings of Power actually forged? And what was the world like when elves like a young Galadriel and Elrond walked in the light of the 2 trees? The sheer scope is unbelievable. You'll see the island kingdom of Numenor, the greatest civilization of men, before it fell. You'll walk through the dwarven kingdom of Moria not as a dark tomb, but as a thriving, glorious city. And you'll follow a sprawling ensemble cast, from humble Harfoots to ambitious elven smiths, whose paths are slowly, unknowingly intertwining to shape the fate of all Middle-earth. The genius of the show is that it plays like a historical epic and a mystery at the same time. In its first seasons, a huge question hangs over every character: who is Sauron? He's hiding in plain sight, manipulating events, and you get to be a detective. It's a slow burn, visually stunning masterpiece of world building. If you've ever wanted to just live and breathe in the most famous fantasy world of all time, this is your chance. 5. One Piece. Alright, for number 5, One Piece. This is the ultimate adventure series. It follows Monkey D. Luffy, a kid with a heart of gold and a body made of stretchy rubber after eating a devil fruit. His dream, to become the king of the pirates, but he can't do it alone. He needs a crew. The first season is about him finding his found family, the brilliant swordsman Zoro, the nimble thief Nami, the lying but charming sharpshooter Usopp, and the badass chef Sanji. and their chemistry is just infectious. This isn't a grim, brooding fantasy, it's a vibrant, swashbuckling romp across the high seas filled with goofy humor, incredibly creative action, and shockingly heartfelt moments. You will absolutely fall in love with this crew. Their loyalty to each other and their dedication to their own crazy dreams, like mapping the entire world or finding a legendary sea, is the real treasure of the show. 4. Wednesday. Sliding into our number 4 spot is Wednesday. This show is a coming-of-age story, but one where the age is coming with a sharpened stake and a severe allergy to color. It follows Wednesday Addams, the iconic, morbid, and fiercely intelligent daughter, as she's exiled to Nevermore Academy, a boarding school for monstrous outcasts like werewolves, gorgons, and psychics. While she'd rather be perfecting her cello skills or devising new forms of torture for her brother Pugsley, she's forced to use her emerging psychic visions to unravel a supernatural conspiracy that's tied to her family's secret past. Jenna Ortega is an absolute icon in the role, making Wednesday both hilariously blunt and surprisingly relatable. The show is a brilliant mix of supernatural mystery, dark comedy, and Tim Burton's signature visual style. With its unique tone and massive success, it's a must-watch for anyone who prefers their humor a little black. 3. The Witcher. Carving its way into our number 3 spot is The Witcher. This isn't a story about a chosen hero, it's about a freelance problem solver. Geralt of Rivia is a Witcher, a genetically mutated monster hunter for hire, blessed with superhuman abilities and cursed to be an outcast. In a land ravaged by war and prejudice, he's just trying to get paid, but he keeps getting dragged into politics far above his pay grade, usually because people are far more monstrous than the creatures he's sworn to kill. The brilliance of the show is its structure. The first season weaves together 3 timelines, following Geralt, the powerful sorceress Yennefer of Vengerberg, and the young princess Ciri of Sintra. Their destinies are inextricably linked long before they ever meet. It's a deep dive into elven history, corrupt mages, and the brutal reality of the northern kingdoms. At its heart, it's a story about a found family. A gruff, emotionally stunted mutant, a witch who traded her humanity for power, and a princess who lost everything, somehow forming the most unlikely and powerful bond. With 4 epic seasons out and a 5th and final chapter on the way, this is a sprawling, adult fantasy that demands your attention. 2. Stranger Things. Landing at number 2 is Stranger Things. This isn't just fantasy or sci-fi, it's a perfect cocktail of genres. It all starts in the small, seemingly ordinary town of Hawkins, Indiana, in the 1980s. When a young boy named Will Byers vanishes into thin air, his group of nerdy, dedicated friends, Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, embark on a desperate search that leads them to a mysterious girl with a shaved head and telekinetic powers known only as 11. What they uncover is a terrifying government conspiracy and a crack in reality to a dark, monster-infested dimension called the Upside Down. The show masterfully balances the kids' heartfelt coming-of-age stories with the adults' frantic investigation and genuinely terrifying supernatural horror. You watch for the incredible characters and their bonds. Steve's transformation from jerk to ultimate babysitter is legendary. You watch for the mind-blowing 80s soundtrack and aesthetic. And you watch because, at its core, it's about the power of friendship, courage, and weirdness against impossible odds. 1. Game of Thrones. And here it is. Number 1. Game of Thrones. Based on George R.R. Martin's masterpiece, this is the epic that all others are measured against. Set in the brutal, unforgiving continents of Westeros and Essos, it's a sprawling tapestry of noble families, the Starks, Lannisters, Targaryens, and more, all playing a deadly game for control of the Iron Throne. But forget simple tales of good versus evil. This is a world where honor gets you killed, where the best politicians wield words like knives, and where a shocking death could end your favorite character's story at any moment. You learn to never get too comfortable. You watched for the dragons, the White Walkers, and the epic battles like the Battle of the Bastards, and the Long Night, that broke budgets and raised the bar for cinematic television. But you stayed for the deeply human drama, for the political genius of Tyrion Lannister, the fierce resilience of Arya Stark, the terrifying ambition of Cersei, and the redemptive journey of the Hound. And that's our list. But this is just our take. Let us know in the comments which fantasy series you think deserves the top spot. We love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this tour through the best of fantasy, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, and subscribe to Cinematic Spotlight for more countdowns and deep dives into your favorite stories. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy viewing.